Herb and Raj podcast coming at you.
That's accurate.
We made it. We made it past week 4, the week that we have all been, as Bama fans, that we have all kind of been looking forward to, anticipating, being nervous, etc., whatever the case may be. But before we get into that, Herb, how you doing tonight? Let me ask you that. I'm sorry.
Is this the official question, or just like I'm okay tonight? I'm okay.
I just want to know how you're doing right now. Yeah.
Had some time to relax.
Okay.
I'm good. I'll get to your specific question in a minute, how I felt before the game. But tonight I've decompressed. I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
Cool. Got you. Let's see who's in your first. Cat, Roll Tide. Appreciate you from always being here. One half of the Alpha Pool. Big Mike. Oh, I'm sorry, Lady. I jumped the gun. Lady Alpha's here too. So the full Alpha Pool is in. Big Mike. Shout out to Big Mike. We appreciate all y'all from jumping in. And so far, Sped was the first one to the show. We appreciate you, man. The resident Sped has arrived. So before we get into the game that took place this past Saturday night and any other college football, Herb and I want to give a special shout out and a thanks to everybody. Herb, go ahead. You want to start it off?
Yep. Sorry, I got to text somebody to let them know this is happening. Okay. So Raj did a short on it, and we had like thousands of people go like, "What did Herb not care?" Like, first guys, like, here's what you got to understand: Raj is the face of the show. He's the good-looking one. He is the star of the show. So he's the one that did the short out there, thanking everybody for getting us to 200. We text our mom this weekend, and I was like, "Mom, which one of us is the good-looking one?" And Mom was like, I tried to give you smarts. That's why you got the glasses. So, like, I get it. So, but come on, Raj, it's me. I got to do that.
Okay.
No, seriously though, we really appreciate. Like, I know 200 is not a huge number for a lot of people, but for us, getting to 200 was huge. That was a goal that we had set. We wanted it for the Georgia game, man. And the people in the chat, man, we appreciate you, Sped. I know you kind of come in late with us, man, but I know you've jumped in immediately. The Alpha Pools, man, they've been there.
Reposted, retweeting,
Yes. If we post out something and say we need help, we know we can count on theirs. And then Big Mike, we love you, Mike. He's one that's helped push us.
Oh yeah.
Help editing our stuff, help pushing our stuff, man. We just, we appreciate all y'all. I was like, before I do this, do I start naming names? No, because you always forget somebody. So there's several people out there that have just helped us to get to this. It meant a lot to us. It meant a lot to us. And with it comes a whole nother announcement, Raj. Something very, very important. Okay.
Oh, Lord. All right. Okay, guys, this is a surprise to me, so I'm seeing it here for.
We got to announce our candidacy.
Oh, my gosh.
Herb and Raj, 24. Okay. You could do worse. All right. So, yes. And Raj, your shirt is sitting right over there. Okay.
Thank you.
So you see how things are going out there. We wanted to announce that we're out there as well. Okay. Herb and Raj, 24. I even have a strategy, Raj. This is the hat that we wear up north. Oh, there you go. This is the hat we wear down south.
Gotcha.
We got this locked up. So,
oh my God, it's for real, guys. This is the first time I'm seeing the shirt. This was something that we discussed in the past, but it never came to. It's now coming to fruition. I love it. Awesome. I love it.
Yes, I think we are unparagoned in the political realm. Nobody can touch us. I think
nobody
we will
can
be the
touch
best. I think
we are in a league of our own.
Herb and Raj, 24. I think you got to do it.
Oh my gosh. All right. With that being said, I just want to echo Herb's sentiments. We greatly appreciate all the support. Herb and I have set another goal. We're not going to announce our next goal, but in the comments, obviously with us being over 200 subs now, in the comments, let us know what you guys think our next goal is, and content-wise, is there anything you want to see from us that we haven't been doing, or if there's something that we have been doing that you want to see more of? So just let us know in the comments give us some ideas of what you want to see, and yeah, we'll go from there. And again, we appreciate everybody's support with all the retweets, reposts, likes, comments, etc. We saw them out there on social media, so love it, and we appreciate you guys from the bottom of our hearts.
Yes, very much.
All right,
very much so.
Now,
hey, there goes.
Shout out to Randy. Shout out to Randy with the.
I was gonna make you part of my shout outs, but I didn't see you in here. If y'all want to talk about somebody instrumental too as well, and like I said, I've shout out everybody that's been in there too. Randy picked him up from Air Raid podcast. Wish Air Raid was around. Tell him thank you as well. Randy has been very instrumental outside of the show as well. You know, he actually sat down with me after his show one night and gave like a whole hour and a half tutorial on stuff. And then when I didn't implement it right away, he was still patient. But you could tell there'd be like 2 weeks from there, he'd be like, hey, you know what I mean? So definitely appreciate Randy pushing us. So, Lady Alpha, I see where you say more college picks. Are you just meaning more games in general? And because, like, let's say this week we only have 6. I would say Mike would be the person to talk to see if you want extra games added. We're always open to it. So just tell us what games that you want. So. Yeah, definitely. We appreciate it. And again, Randy, we appreciate your support, man. Can't thank you enough. And Big Mike, I text you about the shirts. I think you just might have missed it.
Gotcha. All right. So are you ready to?
Yeah, hold on.
Oh, okay. Here we go. All right, you ready?
So I'll definitely have to get more, but Raj, I wanted to make sure you understood. Hey, you definitely.
I appreciate it.
Got one as well. So
I
it'll
appreciate
be on the way to your. I had them both sit here first because I was like, if they turn out terrible, I don't want you to have a terrible shirt to come.
No. I'm wearing mine anyway. Yep. So, all right. Obviously, there was a huge game Saturday night, 6:30. Alabama versus Georgia. Before we get into the game, where were you at? I'll give my description, but where were you at emotionally coming into the week and in preparation for the game? Where were you at?
Nervous. Yeah. Nervous. First off, it's Georgia, right? And I know that people always like to point out our record, against Georgia. Yeah, it's good. Let's just be honest. But that doesn't change that they, to me, are still top 5 team in the country. Easy, right? Argument made for top 3 at any given point. If you told me match up on a neutral field against the rest of the top 4, I'm taking them against every single one of them. Right. So for me, no matter the situation, I'm nervous going into the game. Same. Then it's a 6:30 game, which, like, do I love the night games? Yeah, much better than 11. But all that means is I watch games all day, and I'm like, when do we play?
I could see if it was a 6:30 Vanderbilt game, emotions would be differently.
Right. No disrespect to Vandy. We love you.
Yeah. And that is our upcoming opponent. We'll get into that later. But I understand what you're saying. I was the same way, nervous and anxious all week. Woke up Saturday morning. I don't even know how much I slept Friday night. Woke up Saturday morning. The game was on my mind, of course. Took care of some things around the house, played with the kid, blah, 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 ran errands. Finally get to sit down for the game. And all right. So from the opening, the first couple of plays, I'll give my opinion and then we'll go to you. But from the first couple of plays, our offense it was an example of Witterson's. It was just a completely different offense, completely different than what we had seen the previous first games. First pass was, I think, Milroe throws it to Ryan Williams, like a little 8-yard route. Then he goes to Jeremy Bernard. Then obviously I think it was the third or fourth pass when he goes deep to Emmanuel Henderson. So seeing all that passing right away.
And by the way, that was not an easy catch by Emmanuel Henderson.
No,
I feel like that's the kind of catch that gets dropped by our guys in the last 2 years or so.
Yep.
And our guys are going to get it. So.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead though.
No. So after seeing all the throwing around and the passing early on, what were you thinking about the offense?
I mean, it looked good. Some of the concerns about we had going into this game, can we put together a drive? Can we mix it up? Can we hit other passes other than just throwing bombs? That helped. The first drive actually made me feel a little bit better because we had 3 penalties on that drive and still scored.
Yep.
So I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm watching for the counter punch. Are we going into the next drive yet? Because I have a big thing to say about that. Or do you want to finish the first drive off?
Just about just the first drive. I mean, my sentiments are pretty much the same. I liked it. The passes looked nice and crisp. It was completely different than, again, as I mentioned, that what we saw the first 3 games. I just thought we were going to use the run and throw a deep ball, but we were passing, use the short to intermediate game. And I guess it was kind of like, so let me ask you this. Do you think DeBoer and Sheridan were just holding this in? Or did you say, would you think they were holding it and saying, like, let's unleash this for the Georgia game? Or do you think this is something that has been there?
I think it's something they were holding for this. So this is always a weird one to say, right? Because does it show disrespect to your other opponents? No. So it's one of those things that I think they've probably been working on. But yes, I think they said in the middle of those other games, we don't need this to beat them. But there are certain things you have to do to beat an elite defense. And that is you have to surprise them a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm at with that. There are definitely things they held back on both sides of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Had it been bad in the second half at Wisconsin, maybe you try to unleash some of those, but it's also matchup based, so they probably things that they looked at specifically for Georgia. And every team does this, right? If you guys don't think Auburn is sitting back right now working on something specific just for us, like they are, you know what I mean? So I think it's just the ultimate respect to what Kirby Smart can do is like, you can't put everything on film yet. So.
Right, because I think Kirby would have prepared for what he saw on film, and which I think he did. So even when Kirby saw the offense like this, I'm not going to sit up here and say he knew what we were going to do, but I'm sure he was surprised as well. We were pleasantly surprised.
I don't know that he was surprised. I just don't know if he had all the counters. I think Williams gives you Hollywood gives you a different dynamic and something that Kirby talked about. So. I get where you're coming, but I just feel like he's smart enough to know. I just think good offense, man, when you really execute, it's just hard to stop. And when you throw in a guy like Milroe, and these are taken from Kirby's comments after the thing, when you have a guy like Milroe who can run, you can't double team the wide receivers because you got to have somebody waiting on him. Right. And once you start getting these elite talents at wide receivers, you're just really, really hard to beat. Yeah. So. Sorry, go ahead though, Rod. My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just pleasantly surprised with what I saw too. And to your point, I mean, he the short to intermediate game, the deep ball, the running, had the 3 penalties on that first drive, which made me a little irritated. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, definitely.
To see that, because I felt like after those 3 penalties, I felt like this is how the game's gonna be. This is gonna be a long night for us.
Yes.
We suffered a few more penalties, but not too many overall. Big thing is we didn't accrue any sacks. We didn't allow any sacks. The offensive line protected.
Did you just say accrue? We're in Alabama. Nobody knows.
No. Oh my goodness. We didn't accrue any sacks. We protected very, very well. Gave Jalen his time to throw the ball, time to work. I think his decision making was brilliant. He passed when he needed to. He ran when he needed to. He didn't make any silly decisions. Just overall, I guess from Jalen, just in that first quarter, first half actually. What would you grade him?
I mean, I have the first half was an A.
Yep.
I can't think of many things that kind of went wrong. It's like you maybe go to the end of the half and maybe any possession that it. But look, if you can get to 28 on Georgia, you got to take that. That's an A. Period. You know what I mean? That might be even the whole game, total from last year. I feel like this staff has worked with Jalen so much. I mean, you saw the hugs, you've seen the videos, the hugs after the game. You know what I mean? I just think they're dialed in, Raj. I think they're like, we're gonna tailor. Like if they had come in and Ty Simpson had been our number one, you wouldn't be seeing all this. They would have tailored to Ty Simpson. But this staff came in and said, "You're our guy.
Yep,
we're gonna work with you." And this is a guy who's been through 2 OCs that didn't like him. So sorry.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like they showed him the love and support that he needed and that he kind of been missing. We know with O'Brien and Reese, he didn't really have. Obviously, Bill O'Brien was like, didn't really want him as a quarterback. Reese did okay, decent, but he could have been better. But he has the right coordinator, right coach,
Thank you, Kat.
and they just unleashed him. They unleashed him. So
Yep.
I
And
liked it.
I'm gonna get back to cats. I did want to put,
Yeah.
and that's a good point, Mike. You're right on that
Yeah.
one. That's a good point because Kirby did say that. So
I think that's what we were kind of alluding to earlier, is that we just hadn't seen it yet. So
yeah,
I don't think it's fair to say he couldn't complete those passes. It's just not something that we had seen in the previous 3 games. So that's a good point, Mike. No, I had to give Milroe an A2. I mean, for that first half, everything was brilliant. He led the offense great. We looked absolutely phenomenal. I was so surprised at how fast things were happening and I even called Herb. I think it was after the first or second touchdown. I said, I haven't even poured me any water yet. I'm just walking around trying to clean up the house a little bit. I know. And it was like 14-0 that quick. So what were your emotions? We know what your emotions were pregame. So what were your emotions at halftime? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Real quick, I did want to give somebody credit for this. Randy was actually somebody we talked about on our show because he had talked about Milroe possibly being our best running back. And remember on our I think our second show, one of the 2 Thursday night shows we did, he actually said it's not an insult because he thinks the pocket passer is going away. You got to have a guy with some mobility who can also throw the ball well. And Kirby Smart said the same thing, is that he can run, but he can also throw really well.
Yeah.
You know, and the more he develops that, the more it is. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's a good point to Randy's point too. I mean, if you look at Jaden Daniels, Lamar Jackson, even Josh Allen, you've got to have a nice dual threat quarterback. And that's just the future of football if it's not already gotten there yet. So I do feel like the pocket passer is kind of just slowly going away. Not to say that they won't have a place here, but and I think even Mel Kiper alluded to it this morning. I think he was talking about the first round draft picks, and he says he kind of puts Milroe up there at 1 because he is a good dual threat quarterback. He mentioned Beck, Ewers, everybody else, and then obviously Ewers has the injury history, which is kind of going to hinder him a little bit. But being a dual threat quarterback is the quarterback you need to be in today's era. That's just how college football is. It adds a different dynamic to your offense that some teams really have trouble preparing for. I mean, they can put a spy on you, but if you throw the ball, or if you decide to distribute the ball elsewhere, then what exactly are they going to do? So
there's a reason why Ty Simpson runs every chance he gets. He wants to show you guys, look, I'm not as fast as Milroe, nobody is, but I still got a little wheels on me.
He's kind of putting that in the coach's head, like, listen, like you said, I don't have that Milroe speed, but I can run if necessary. Just letting you know, just putting that on my resume.
Yeah, so, I think Tim Hardaway actually said that. He said, I can't fly like Michael, but I can fly down court. Like, I got a little bit. All right, go ahead, man. What else did you have for me?
No. So after the first half, so we go in 28-7, I believe, or 30-7, I think, at halftime because we had the safety. What were your emotions at halftime then?
Nervous.
Still
1,000%. And this isn't me looking back, folks. I posted this. I'm not relaxed. I wasn't. Yeah. There's certain things that happen when you have big leads that you just can't avoid. Okay.
Yep.
One, you're going to relax. Okay. And I know what people say, they got to stay focused. Look, if you're a 30-year-old NFL player, Super Bowl's 28-3, there's still some relaxing. The other team came back. So it is hard across the board. Right.
Yeah.
But imagine this, Raj, you're 19. You're beating the number 1 or number 2 ranked team, depending on how you look at it. Right.
Yep.
30-7.
Or you're 17.
You're 19. You know what you're doing? Well, the 17-year-old, he's doing his own thing. But you know what I mean? You know what you're doing? Man, what we doing after the game? What we finna do? We partying. You're doing that, right?
Yep.
And yes, Kat, you did. And guess what, Kat? I had my stuff ready. Because I was like, I haven't changed clothes yet. This is not good.
Yeah.
And then when you're the other team, Georgia has too much pride to just go away.
Right.
If we're beating Vanderbilt 30-7 at halftime, they're like, all right, guys, just don't get hurt.
Yeah.
Georgia has too much pride. Kirby has too much pride. You know, you throw caution to the wind and you like throwing left-handed passes up there, like, let's just see what happens, right?
Right.
Because if it gets worse, okay, fine. But if it gets better, it's amazing. So I was nervous the whole time.
Same here. I was nervous. And I think you and I even talked at halftime. We were excited to be where we were as far as a good first half, but we're like, listen, there's still some more football to be played. It's not going to be over until the game. Too much football to be played, and it's just not going to be over until the clock runs 0. With that being said, third quarter comes, and it seems like, and again, I want your opinion, it just seems like our offensive mindset just changed in the third quarter somewhat. I don't have the numbers in front of me as far as pass and run plays, but it seemed like we wanted to rely more on Jalen running, which obviously he did He had 177 rushing yards. He did that good, but it seems like we just took our foot off the pedal a little bit, and instead of just going kill, it's just like, let's just play it out. Let's just try to kill the clock. But then we got some stops, and they just started to counter.
Yeah. I don't know if it is that we took the foot off the pedal, because I think that's part of it. I think Georgia also made adjustments defensively. And I don't know that there was a sense of urgency to make adjustments to their adjustments. I know that always sounds really silly, but that's what you have to do. We didn't counter them. And then because we didn't do anything offensively, our defense was on because we stopped them to come out the gate. We got a punt the first. When we got the punt, Raj, to start the second half, that's the only time I semi-relaxed. I was like, okay, let's go down here. Let's have some semblance of a drive, 4 or 5 minutes, 6 minutes, something put together, get some points, that was it. And then we punted right back, and I was like, this is when I started to really be like, okay, we're not doing that thing. I don't, and people always say, like, with Saban, look, we had some terrible third quarters. And I remember the Alabama-Texas game, the first national championship. The third quarter in that game was run the clock out. And we almost let a backup quarterback come back. So let's not say it doesn't always happen. But when we didn't get anything off of that, that's the first time I became nervous. And I was like, look, man, Georgia got some playmakers. Let's do this. So Raj, and I hate to go back, but my key to the game to this point so far was the drop on Georgia's first possession.
Yes, and
we have just scored. Sorry, I meant to say that. We had just scored. Georgia comes back with a long bomb pay. We are beat. And that is a 1,000% hit you both hands drop.
It was
that big to me. Yes, if Georgia gets in there and it's 7-3 or 7-7, I think you see a different game. Everybody's still a little tight. Whatever they drop that, we get the ball back, we score again. It's a totally different game.
I feel like that catch would have, to your point, would have changed the momentum of the game. It would have evened things up because that's a catchable ball. It was a beautiful pass thrown by Beck. Aaron Smith just dropped it, kind of zapped some of the luck out of him, or not the luck out of him, but just some of the momentum out of Georgia at all from that point. But yeah, that was a huge play, and I should have brought it up earlier. My apologies, but
no, I'm old, Raj, and I meant to say it earlier, and then I forgot. So that's definitely me.
Yeah, and with that being said, there were a few other drops that Georgia had that definitely could have helped out the QB. And Beck did have a couple of passes that were thrown behind the receivers, but overall, I think his receivers could have did him a little more justice. And let's be honest, he still threw for over 400 yards anyway. So that second half, he just kind of carried the team. Second half, I felt the same way though. I just didn't realize, I didn't understand what we were doing at the point, and it just seemed like we just couldn't score as easily as we did in the first half.
Right.
And I'm going to go back and probably rewatch the second half. I actually rewatched the first half at lunch today.
I will never watch that second half.
I might have to rewatch the second half just to go back and see what exactly we were thinking.
I don't break down film. I don't do stuff like that. So no.
Then obviously the fourth quarter comes. Game gets tightened up. What's going through your head when Georgia takes the lead, 34-33?
Because it's 2 minutes and something. So I'm like, there's plenty of time with timeouts and the 2-minute warning.
Yep.
I'm like, we got to get our mojo back. Okay. We only need a field goal, and we've got one of the best field goal kickers in the country, we hope.
Yep.
Right. So my honest thought, Raj, is let's get in the field goal range. There's something kind of, empowering too when you're in 4-down territory to start a drive, right? That means 3rd and 5 is not necessarily 3rd and 5. It's like on 3rd and 5, I don't have to get 5 yards. On 3rd and 5, if I get 3 yards, right, just running up the middle, I'm good because now I only got 2. You know what I mean? It's just your whole play call, the whole thing is open, 2-minute warning, timeouts. I'm like, we're still okay. We just got to put something together. We haven't put together this whole half the drive, but we don't need a chunk. We don't need anything big. So, guess I don't know what I'm talking about. But that was my thought going into the final drive.
Nah, me too. I was just hoping that we could steadily just move the ball along, eat up the clock, get a field goal, win the game. I didn't want us to rely on a field goal, because if he missed the field goal, I would have been pissed. I would rather have a touchdown, because I would have been like, oh man, how is it that we scored so easily in the first half, but now we can't even get a touchdown?
We'd have been like, go back and give Will Riker the award.
Exactly. But then obviously the play heard around the world. Milroe throws it to Ryan Williams,
who's like 27.
I knew it was coming. Those are to Ryan Williams. He jumps
Can
up.
we just say even Alabama fans are tired of it?
Yeah,
like we make fun of it, but we get it. We're
tired of it, but we're never going to hear
birthday.
the end of it. You know what we're going to do for the Vanderbilt game? We're going to create something called a 17-year-old clock. How many times do you think the announcers will allude to the fact that Ryan Williams is 17 years? Put it in the comments, guys. This Saturday when we go to Vanderbilt, how many times do you think the commentators are going to say that Ryan Williams is a 17-year-old? Herb, if you had to guess right now, what would your guess be? Just a single-digit number or whatever number you want. I'm sorry.
7. I'll say 7.
I'm going to go.
It depends on how. So if the game is out of hand, we won't hear it much in the second half because we'll be sitting.
Yeah,
so that's a tough one. But
I'm going to go 3. I'm going to go with 3. I think it's only going to be said 3 times.
I can see that.
Shout out to E. He's a little on the other side, the overside at 23. Yeah, to Hurst point, we hear it all the time. We get it. He's 17. He graduated. We know.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is what it is. Back to what I was saying though. He catches the ball, puts a little one of the slowest spin moves I've ever seen.
You used to do that. Used to, yes.
I used to play
little. Yes, when we used to do little football in the backyard when we were in Florida, you would do that. You would go and you would look up like this, and you would go, and it would be the slowest spin move in history. But I'd be like, "How is he getting away? Like, I don't understand." I could time it with a. It was like, I don't know, Raj. You used to.
It was like when he was spinning, he stared at the defenders and said something to him, like "Bye bye." Then he runs, juke.
Well, you got to go back. Oh, you're talking about the spin move where he hit the 2, right? Or because I don't call the catch a spin move. Yeah. First, you got to go back to the catch. Okay.
Yeah.
That and Josh Pate when he broke it down to Cat. Oh,
I saw that. that. Josh Pate's replay was perfect. It was.
Yes.
It was.
It wasn't a great route that he ran. Or I think that's what Kirk Herbstreit said. It was just that Jalen said, "Look, man, go get this for me."
Jalen just threw the ball.
You single.
That reminded me of one of those passes that Tua used to throw. To throw back in that 2018. Tua would just throw the ball and say, "Here, catch it." That's exactly what Milroe did. He just threw it to Ryan Williams. He caught it. Herb described the spin move. He does a spin move. He runs into the end zone, takes his mouthpiece out. Even before he scores, he knows about his celebration. He knows what's going on. Takes out the mouthpiece, and then he does the most petty dance. He brings back the dirty bird that we haven't seen that the Falcons used to do. I was like, this dude is perfect. I love.
You weren't even alive when that kind of stuff.
I don't know. You must have saw it on YouTube, but that was just that was just like the stick a fork and then they're done.
Oh, by the way, you had between 5 and a dozen of your other guesses. So
I'm gonna go back to 4.
Somebody had to tell him.
Yeah, that dirty bird was awesome. After that play happened, by that point I had some water, so I was elated. Ran in the kitchen.
Some water.
The kids had already been asleep for a little while. I had some more water. Ran in the kitchen. I think I gave Sid a hug. She was on the phone with her friends. What was your celebration? I'm just curious. What was your celebration like? Just
a lot of screaming. I was in the house by myself. Okay. There was a lot of yelling. So one of my favorite things when you're watching the replay is listen. The crowd is kind of quiet.
Yeah.
On the catch, there's a pop. You're like, yes. So that echoes what I'm doing. Like, yes. And then he goes up, and you're thinking, okay, he's about to get tackled, but it's a great play. Probably going to the 2-minute warning. Blah blah blah. And then it was woohoo!
Yeah.
And the crowd pops again.
Wait, do that dance again. Do that again. You got to see it.
Woohoo!
Oh my gosh.
That's how he did it. Somebody posted. I wish I would pay more attention because I had to get. Somebody posted on Twitter. They were like, if I had a nickel for every time Ryan Williams made 2 people run into each other, I'd have 2 nickels. But still, that seems like a lot.
Yeah. I don't know what to say. He's phenomenal. And Herb and I were even joking about this because I mentioned before the season started, I even made the point. I was like, I just don't know how much playing time he'll get as a freshman because I thought Jeremy Bernard would be wide receiver 1. And Jeremy Bernard has been giving us good production this year. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But obviously, Ryan Williams has emerged as wide receiver 1.
Right.
So to see him doing what he's doing and knowing that we're unless something absolutely ridiculous happens. Knowing that we're going to have him for at least 2 more years just makes me feel good because we're gonna have that threat that nobody can stop.
That was. So, did you think that after the juggling tipped up catch that he would do something to top that?
I didn't. That catch and that was the catch prior to the game-winning touch. That catch was amazing too. Just keeping your hand-eye coordination like that, keeping your hands on the ball awareness, whatever you want to call it. That's just amazing. And people might look at it and say, "Oh man, I could do that." But imagine being in that stadium, in that atmosphere, in that environment, and doing that on national TV with millions and millions of people watching. Being able to just keep your hands on the ball like that, and then score, and then get drugged down, whatever. But that was a heck of a catch. And then the catch after that. So he just, I don't know. I don't even know what else to say about Ryan Williams, man. Hopefully one day we could get him on the show. He's an amazing guy.
If it wasn't for Jeremiah Smith, you'd say he was unparagoned at the wide receiver position as a freshman.
Yeah.
And by the way, can I just say that because Lady Alpha's in here? Smith is amazing.
Yeah.
So whenever I see stuff online and people are like, "Oh, who's better than him?" or which one is better? They're both amazing. To this point, Ryan Williams has had his moment. Playing the top competition. Ohio State's is coming up. Especially in the Oregon game. But it was like he said, "Look, I know we're only playing Michigan State. I'm still going to throw out 2 one-handed catches just so y'all don't forget about me."
Yeah.
But they're both phenomenal, and I always hate comparisons. Or just let those guys play and enjoy what you're getting from both. So is it Ryan Williams is definitely a psycho.
Yeah. So is it safe to just, I guess, for the body frame, is it safe to compare him to Smitty? Is that a fair comparison?
He seems like a faster Smitty. I guess Smitty seemed like a good. Yeah, I guess, but it just feels like Ryan Williams, or maybe he's a flashier Smitty.
I think flashier.
When Smitty used to get it, he would catch it and get by you and do whatever. But both of them had game-winning touchdowns against Georgia. But Ryan Williams was just like iconic, and Smitty was like, "I'll just go get open." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you give Smitty, you give Tua more credit for Smitty's, and you give Ryan Williams credit for Ryan Williams. You know what I mean?
And they showed replays of the game-winning one where I think if I recall correctly,
I assume this is about your guy too as well. And yes, you all have every reason to be proud of him.
Oh, Jeremiah Smith. Yeah, I got to watch more film on Ohio State or more of their games. But Jeremiah Smith is up there. I think they did like an on-3 ranking as far as freshmen, and it was Ryan Williams number 2 and Jeremiah Smith was Ryan Williams was number 1, Jeremiah Smith was number 2.
Yeah.
So
I think they'll flip-flop. I think he just hasn't had his big game yet against the best competition. And there's these are not things that are his fault. The schedule will play out the way it plays out.
Exactly. Once we see him in big games, like you said, against Oregon or Michigan, whatever the case may be, we'll be more familiar with Jeremiah.
Forgot about that one. But that was kind of more just on the catch, I guess. Cat versus
and that time we were already beating LSU too. I think we were already beating them, so this was just happened to be a game-winning catch. So this was a little different. Shout out to Chris Haynes, Coach Chris. We appreciate you for joining in.
Definitely.
Good, great game. It is back to business. It was a great game. I even mentioned that before the game was played. I don't think this was any type of revenge game for Georgia at all. It's just a regular season game. And I guess since Chris brought it up, I guess people have mentioned that there's a possibility we could see Georgia 2 more times, SEC championship and a playoff.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? When do you think, with how things turned out now, when do you think if we'll see them again?
I think so. I don't know a game left on the schedule that I'm not going to pick them to win. I understand they're going to. The only game that I feel like they could lose is at Texas.
Right.
I'm probably going to pick them to win that. I'm not picking Ole Miss. And this is not hindsight. I was not picking Ole Miss to beat them before this past weekend. And I said that publicly. When Randy went on his show and Ole Miss was his only loss of the season, I said, well, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to pick Tennessee. Tennessee always comes in with these high-flying offenses. And Raj, remember, I always give him credit. Hey, are we in the South or in the North? Which hat do I need?
The one you have on now.
Okay. Just Herman Raj 24, guys. Everybody remember. Yeah. Tennessee always comes in with these high flying offenses. I always give Raj crap about it because he picked Tennessee to beat Georgia 2 years ago, beginning of the year.
2 years ago when they had Hendon Hooker, I believe, I picked Tennessee to beat Georgia just to change things up. Everybody else was picking Georgia. I just wanted to be that guy.
Yes.
Obviously.
This is beginning of the season, folks, though. By the time the game came around, he said, yeah, Georgia's winning this. So I say all this to say I feel like Georgia's going to bully Tennessee. So I feel like Georgia's still 11-1. If they slip up one more time, I get it. But I just feel like they're still going to be the class of Tennessee. For us, our worst game might be at Tennessee just because that's a game that gives us more fits than it gives up. So I can still see between us, Georgia, and Texas, I can still see us meeting in the SEC championship. So that's not out of the realm of possibility.
It's
and
not.
Then if they get to the playoffs, I feel like that's when they really turn it up. That's when we really turn it up. So I could see us meeting there too. So yes, I absolutely think it can happen.
I think so too. There's a high probability this could happen. Again, it just depends on how things play out. With that being said, let's look at Alabama's upcoming schedule. Obviously, we know we travel to Vanderbilt this Saturday afternoon, host South Carolina, and then the game that I guess we could kind of briefly discuss is at Tennessee. We had Bama beat on a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And it was me, you, Stephen M. Smith, and Bama beat. I think we were all
Coach. I agree with degrees. It depends on what you do at Texas. I don't know. I just have way more respect for Georgia than Texas. And if I have to root for one, I usually. So here's the thing, Raj. I don't know that I will root for Georgia because I hate playing them again.
Yeah, I don't want to play them again.
But I don't want to root for Texas either. Like if you were going to ask me who I want to play the SEC championship, give me Ole Miss somehow. So.
Oh yeah, I'll take that game. I'll take that game. We'll get into that too before we get off Alabama. So all four of us were on a couple weeks ago. Me, Herb, Bama beat, and Stephen M. Smith. And I guess we were talking about, or this was prior to the season. I'm sorry, talking about schedules and records. I know I predicted 10-2. One of those losses,
and during the bye week as well. Yeah,
and during the bye week. Yeah, I said if we lose, it might be the Georgia game, and maybe either Tennessee or LSU, one of those. Right. Now I'm thinking 11-1 for us. None of the other teams and this is my personal opinion, the only team I guess that we face going forward that poses somewhat of a threat is Tennessee because of their air raid attack. But Bama beat made a good point. The type of style of defense that we play in Kane Womack's swarm defense might help us with this Tennessee game since we'll be littered with DBs all over the field, and obviously they like the pass. And then I might get your opinion too. And also I saw Tennessee play Oklahoma. They didn't look that great. They look decent. Nico looks like a big, strong quarterback. I'll give them that, but they didn't show out like they did in the previous games. And if you look at the previous games, they really weren't. They're putting up 60 to 7 points because they really weren't playing anybody, with the exception of North Carolina State. But I don't even know if North Carolina State's playing right now. So we'll leave that out the question. So with that being said, what are your thoughts on the Tennessee game? And this is no disrespect to Vanderbilt and South Carolina. We got that. We're just saying that Tennessee seems to be the stronger opponent out of those three. So what are your thoughts on the Tennessee game going forward?
So just real quick on Nico, Raj.
Yeah.
So against NC State, it was 16 of 23, 211 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, right? Against Oklahoma, it's 13 for 21, 194 yards, 1 touchdown. So it's I guess it's also coupled with a good running game that you're seeing that, but he's not playing that strong against good competition. So I play easy games. Just gives you a miss. I don't think you really know what's happening. If Nico was in year 2 or 3, I might be a little worried. I'm still worried. Yeah. Like if you said, hey, y'all are going 11-1, I'm saying, well, we're losing at Tennessee.
Yeah.
Home crowd tends to affect things, especially in college games. Their offense does play well at home. That's the game that I'm most afraid of. LSU is sneaky because I don't know. I never know what you're getting with LSU. Night games at LSU are crazy. You know what I mean? I don't know. They look terrible at times. They look okay at times.
I just feel like with LSU offensively, we're steps ahead of them. We've got the better defense. I know Harold Perkins is out for the year. So I just feel like on both sides of the ball, we're going to be the better team. But to your point, it is going to be a road game and night game in Death Valley. So that could kind of change the atmosphere up, and anything could happen in road games in the SEC. So go ahead. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no. But I mean, that's the ranking of the games. At Tennessee is number 1 on your hit list, right? Missouri, I don't feel it fear, honestly, and it's at home.
Yeah.
I might hate to go to Missouri, but they've looked just kind of awful this year. I mean, they might lose this weekend. You have to tune into Big Mike's college picks with Herb and Raj to check that out, what our pick on that game is. And speaking of which, that was a question. Like Lady Alpha asked that. Do you just want to pick us to pick more Ohio State games? And the only thing with that is I would have picked them to win every game so far. So, that's the only thing. You will see more of that. But if that's what you meant with your comment earlier, let us know. And yeah, Kat, I don't know if LSU knows what they have either. Like I think they're just kind of middle of the road versus and just played bad competition. So back to your original question. Tennessee worries me at Tennessee. Then you get another bye before LSU. Like it's placed bye. So you get this little 4-pack that we got going here and you can regroup again. So
Yep.
I don't know. If we get past Tennessee, I'll feel really good. I don't necessarily want to go undefeated though, to be honest. So it's weird.
I was thinking about that earlier, and my thoughts are if we beat Tennessee, I think we finish the regular season undefeated, and then we play whoever we play for the SEC championship. That is a big target on your back going into the SEC championship because even Herb and I stated prior to the season that we don't think any SEC team is going to finish undefeated. Correct. An undefeated season, regular season. I'm sorry. So if that is to happen, we're 12-0. We go into the SEC championship. Now we got to win the SEC championship. Well, let's be honest. Even if we lose the SEC championship, we're still in the playoff. But I'd rather win it and get the number one seed.
I think the loser of the SEC championship or the loser of the championship games probably gets screwed the most.
Yeah. I agree.
Because of without buys and stuff like that. So
I agree. And I think one key thing with the rest of the schedule, and this is one question I want to pose to you, is are we going to see the same type of offensive play for the remainder of the season, or do you think it will just adjust according to who we're playing? Like, again, the first half against Georgia was phenomenal, but are we going to play that same type of half every game for the rest of the season?
Rex, I appreciate you checking in on me. Alcohol definitely helped me get through. It was water helped me get through. And that does say, guys, Raj and I want to start doing some live streams after games. Yes, and this is definitely a failing on my part. He asked to do a live stream after the game, and I fell short on that one. So that's an apology and a regret.
I called Herb after the game. We both had some water, and we both agreed. I'm not going to put this on Herb's back, but we both agreed, like, let's just wait for another game. But it was a funny little conversation. I think we were so excited, but the water was feeling us too, and I didn't know what we were going to say on the podcast or whatever the case may be. And in my defense, with the kids sleeping in the next room, I didn't want to get too loud because I knew how excited I was. So I said, we just decided like we're not going to do a live stream after the game, but they will be coming. Is that something you guys would like to see, live reactions after the game? Let us know in the comments. So going forward, I think
Mike did address the Ohio State. Yeah, that's the only reason why they have been in the picks is because we would have picked them every game.
And I personally, I haven't watched a lot of Ohio State play this year because of who they play, but I will be digging more into their games as the season progresses.
Yeah. And I'll post Chris's after you're finished with the schedule. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think so far with the schedule, we're looking good. I'm looking forward to this weekend. And, you didn't answer the question. I'm sorry. Do you think we're going to see the same offensive scheme? Or do you think we'll play that way?
I think we have a playbook that we are going to adapt to whatever team we're playing. I think that's it. I think they've opened up more, and I think they're going to adapt it. So he says, "Yep, appreciate."
He says yes to the live streams. Shout out to E. Appreciate you. Charmaine is in the building. Good evening, ma'am.
So Rex, let me ask you, what is your idea of a high quality H2O? Give me a couple suggestions.
Hold on. I'm going to go a step further. Everybody in the comments, let us know what type of water you guys hydrate with during the games. Go ahead and let us know. Kat, we'll definitely get on that. Evening, Charmaine. I kind of lost my train of thought there.
We'll take the schedule down real quick. Well, let me address coaches in while you're thinking about where you want to go next. We're at 43 minutes. Coach had a live stream on the game. I had texted him too, and because he asked, "Hey, are you guys still in there?" And I was like, "We were up big," so I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you want me to comment, because we're up big. I'm trying to be respectful." He's like, "No, come on." So we had a good talk. I mean, I just commented on stuff in the game. Didn't go crazy. Coach, if you guys don't know, is one of the best at breaking down games and game film, man. He you gotta that's a guy to follow. It's a guy to talk to. He's a great guy outside of that too as well. He's a Georgia fan, but he's also a good guy. No, he is a good guy that is a Georgia fan too. Great to talk to. He joined us on our breakdown shows, 2 of them. Just a good guy, man. And we will definitely
be doing more with Randy and Coach going in the future too. So you'll definitely see their faces a lot more. Yep. There are our cousins in Georgia.
Yep. We've actually played around with this idea. The problem is like the first two that we ever think about doing were both Georgia games, and I was like, I don't want my first one to be a possible loss. But then, like, I could do it this week against Vanderbilt, and we'd be boring. And of course, the simulcast, you can't show the game, so it is just you having to look at this beautiful thing.
Your reaction,
Yes, and my reaction. But it has been. We might do a couple leading up to a couple of tough games. That is definitely in the works as well. So. Definitely a great week. Very good. Actual water. What is? I don't understand.
Yeah. What is that?
What are you talking about? So,
gotcha.
And no problem, lady. After we see what the nectar of the Southern gods, sweet tea.
Yeah. Sweet tea, Rex. Thanks.
yes. I like that sweet tea that The Rock has put out lately in his couple bottles. That's been good stuff.
Oh yeah, that is.
And
good,
I agree, Charmaine. Like I said, that was definitely my fault for not doing
that. Sweet tea is The Rock's sweet. The Rock's sweet tea is really good straight out the freezer too.
Yes, I agree. All
right. So going back to week 4, I guess, of college football. Week 5. Other than the Georgia-Alabama game, what else? I know what game I'm going to mention, and I think you're going to mention it too. But what else surprised you from this week? Do you want to talk about the game that surprised us, or
not surprised? But it was nice to see Auburn blow that game just because they're Auburn.
Yeah.
So, where were you starting with? Miami game?
No.
Or where were you starting?
We're gonna talk about the Ole Miss one too briefly.
Oh, duh.
Yeah.
Duh.
No,
I'm just saying that one because they give us such a hard time on everything, and just seeing them lose that one was nice. The Miami game. The way that ended?
Yes, that ended. Okay.
And people keep going. Go ahead.
Was it a catch or no catch? In your eyes?
I don't know. But the fact that I say I don't know means whatever they called on the field, I think they should have left that call.
Yes. That's how I agree.
If they had said incomplete, I would have said, go with incomplete. When they said a catch, I think they should have left it a catch.
I agree.
I agree. Yes.
When they made the call on the field, touchdown, whatever, you should have stayed with that. But then when I saw the replay, I was like, okay, the ball was moving around, people had their hands on it, so it didn't really look like a complete pass. But I'm like, dude, you already caught on the field. That's what you've got to roll with. So Miami could have easily.
Thanks you for jumping in there.
Excuse me, Miami could have easily lost that game. But let's go back to the first one you mentioned, Oklahoma Auburn.
Let me post these and then I'll go back to it. Yeah, you can't turn that. Exactly. That's my problem, and I think Chris is saying exactly so. Yeah. It is. The whole point of review is I 100% know what I'm doing is wrong.
Right.
And they didn't 100% know, and they still overturned it. So
I feel like
see we got a lot of Southern viewers coming in here. So
change it up. I gotta bring you a change of hat too. I got a camera one too. I'm gonna have to get. And I feel like I wonder if they were watching it and they were like, oh, well, we already called a touchdown on the field. Now we got to overturn it. Now everybody's gonna be pissed at us here.
No, I know what they thought. We're in Miami.
Yeah.
I want to get to my car safely.
Yes.
I'm calling this a no touchdown and let's get out of here. That's what they thought. I'll guarantee. So this is why I couldn't be a ref, because I'd be looking in the thing.
I'd be thinking about my personal safety.
And I'd look in the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no touchdown.
I'd be like this.
I'm like, no.
You know what I do? I'd pull out my phone or whatever, look at a picture of my family. I'm like, man, I'm gonna call this, and then we're out of here. We're gone.
Yeah.
All right, so briefly, we got a couple minutes before we get into the questions. Oklahoma Auburn is the first one you mentioned. Auburn was, for those who didn't watch the game, Auburn, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Auburn was at 2 scores in the fourth quarter? Is that
21
correct?
21-10 in the fourth with like 10 minutes
21
left.
to 10 in the fourth. They had the game in the bag. They blew it. Peyton Thorne.
Hey, I got the game in the bag. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do. I've heard. Oh my! Give the backstory on that right quick. Hurry up.
But was that you or was that their younger brother? We were playing Tecmo Bowl. That's what I remember. And
I thought it was
somebody was winning, and they were all excited, and they went, "I got the game in the bag," and then the game froze.
Yeah.
And they didn't get their victory.
This is where we lived in Satellite Beach, Florida.
Satellite Beach, Florida.
Yes.
And they were like, no.
Yes.
And
it was
kids have no idea what
hilarious.
I'm talking about. What do you mean froze? Like the internet went out? No.
Yeah.
There was no such thing. Okay. This is how old we are. All right. But
they had the game in bag, to your point, and Peyton Thorne throws a pick 6. They end up losing. I rejoiced. I was happy for it. Quick question, and this is something you and I text about, but you and Big Mike text about this. Going forward, going forward, obviously Auburn has Cam Coleman, who was like their highest rated recruit ever, 5-star receiver out of Alabama. How much longer is he going to be there? What's going through his mind? I mean, you going into next season. I mean, obviously you finished this season, but going into next season, you're looking around like you have no idea who your quarterback's going to be. What is he going to do?
You're
what
right.
do you think?
I mean, the reason why I continue to do is because how some of the Auburn fans still treat us, even when we don't bring them up. So, Raj, I'll say this: I don't know where it ends, but he was being recruited. I don't know if he ends up staying or going. But you 100% know he was being recruited because we know this because our players this happened to also, right? But he's being recruited right now.
Okay.
And this is not an inside source sort of thing. This is like,
we all know that.
I know nobody. I know Raj, and Raj ain't he all right. He Raj.
Yeah.
But he's being recruited right now.
Appreciate you, Lady Alpha. Have a good night.
All right. Yep. You have a good night. Appreciate you. He's being recruited heavily.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh yeah.
So Freeze is gonna have to do something to keep him.
Yeah, because
that's just what it is. What up, Bo?
I just brought his name. Good evening, Bo. Appreciate you, man. Both Bo and I suffered some Monday Night Football losses yesterday. We were texting throughout the game. That's a whole nother story for another day. Miami sucks. So
and agreed, Charmaine, agreed. All right, go ahead.
So would you welcome him with open arms if he wanted to come to Alabama? At this point, I'm kind of like, no, you had that opportunity. Like, we're good.
It's not even that. I just like our wide receiver room. Now, having said that, do you always want more talent? Of course.
Yeah.
Just think about if you have him flanking Ryan Williams. But it's one of those I might send out feelers, but I'm not like going full bore towards it. You know what I mean? So it's if he wanted to come, sure, great. If not, oh well.
Yep.
Yeah, and Kat, that's the thing. It's kind of embarrassment of riches. You do certain things just so you can have depth at this point. Depth is hard to find. But do we need? No, I like.
No, we don't need it. We're loaded. We're loaded, and we got a 5-star coming in. Probably 1 or 2 5-stars coming in next year. Quarterback position will be good, so we're good.
Yep. And we probably won recruits with this past weekend.
Last game we mentioned was Kentucky Ole Miss. We didn't really talk about it. I watched pretty much the majority of that game, and I started to realize that
Kentucky with an offense would be top 5.
Yes. And the only reason they had an offense the previous 3 games was because they played nobody. They played Furman and 2 other teams. I forget their names, which is why they were putting up 60, 70 points a game. So what are your thoughts? What were your thoughts on the game, and what are your thoughts on Ole Miss now?
Agreed, yeah. So Ole Miss, you look at their schedule, and they only had the Georgia game. So 11-1 was definitely on the table, right? I mean, you still had to go to LSU, but we didn't know what you're getting. Yeah. We said this at the beginning of the year, right? If Lane doesn't get it done this year, when does he get it done? Now, I still think he loses to Georgia. They end up at 10-2, and if a lot of teams are 10-2, there's a coin flip on who's making the thing. But if Kentucky, without even looking at their schedule, Raj, sounds like an 8-4, 7-5 team, right? So especially with that, true, exactly, Kat.
They do it every year.
So if they're 7-4, 8-5, I mean, other way around, but you get what I'm saying. And that's one of Ole Miss's second losses. Yeah. And you have other teams out there that have lost to, like, let's say, a Georgia and somebody, or Georgia and Tennessee. Ole Miss is falling in that. You can't compare those to the other teams. Like, you can't lose to, at least when you say Georgia had a tough game against Kentucky, A, they won, and B, it was on the road. You can't lose to Kentucky at home. You just can't. And not with that team and what you brought in.
We knew about Kentucky's defense going into the game because of how they played Georgia, but offensively, Ole Miss could have put up a few more points. Yeah, that's what we were expecting them to see. And to your point earlier, I'm assuming this is Jackson Dart's last year. Don't know how old he is. After that, I don't know who the next quarterback is.
I heard him and Cam Rising used to hang out a lot.
Where at? Bingo halls?
No, I think like probably Waffle Houses or IHOPs.
Waffle House is legendary. Waffle House is legendary. I'd go to Waffle House almost every single day.
This is the South. You think this is the Midwest?
No, I like the camo for the South.
I'm sorry, if this is the North.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think, North or Midwest?
Midwest right there.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Let's get our Midwest.
I don't like the bill on that hat that you're wearing right now. That's Midwest. We can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. But yeah, Ole Miss going forward, I see him losing 1 or 2 more games. So it'll be interesting. Could you imagine being the Ole Miss team coming into the season and not making the playoff? That would just be
That'd be awful.
That'd be awful. That would be awful. I guess that's about it. That might wrap up the college games for last week. I mean, it was definitely an exciting weekend. I'm just glad we came away. I wouldn't say unscathed, but I feel a little scathed with that second half. But overall, I'm feeling good going into Vanderbilt Saturday, and I like the way our offense is playing. Defense played good. I forgot to mention that we had 3 interceptions on defense. Obviously, Xavier Brown had the big one at the end. Good for him. Another freshman showing up big for Bama. Excited for the team.
Yep. I agree. Looking forward. It's weird, like we don't cover the next game as much, but I expect us to beat Vanderbilt. Like, sorry, I know they got a great quarterback and Fabio run around, but I expect us to win this game. I'm sorry.
I agree. And I didn't look at the point spread for that game. I want to say it was like 24.5. So with that being said, do you think we cover? 23. It's 23 right now.
I think we're good enough to. I mean, we traditionally just smash.
No. Do we cover? Yes. Okay. Yes. I think we cover as well.
You have to tune into the end of our college picks with Big Mike to get a little bit more comments on those games.
Yeah, definitely. The Cats' point. Yeah, they were attacking Xavier Brown all night. I'm glad he stood there and he stood it and took it and he got that big interception at the end. I think that was huge for his confidence, huge for the season. Defense played well. Jahad Campbell and who had I think Damani Jackson had an interception as well. So
yeah, he did.
Defense played good, and this is another reason to my point earlier as far as us playing Tennessee. And you already made the point that Nico has thrown a couple of interceptions this year. I could see us getting a few more in that game too, and getting the win in that game. But yep. I think that's it for the CFB weekend. Herb, are you ready to shoot me some questions? Or
Yep. I've got 3 exactly. So we're gonna do. Well, let me take this off there first. Sorry. First, Raj, we're gonna have 2 top 5s from me. Okay.
Awesome.
Your first one is Raj's college football top 5 in particular order.
Why do you always have to say in particular order?
Because that's how it is.
Okay. Number 1, obviously Alabama. We have the best win of the season. We look like the best team in college football right now. Hopefully we can remain consistent. I'll leave Texas at 2. They got a win over Mississippi State this past weekend. Obviously, they have questions. When is Quinn Ewers coming back? What?
Go ahead.
When is Quinn Ewers coming back? We're not sure. Arch Manning looked pretty good. I think he threw an interception, but overall, he looked pretty good. Number 3, I'll go with Ohio State. I haven't watched them play too much, but just based on their scores and their overall team, I think we'll get a better idea of how good they are going into the season. Then Tennessee, they're still undefeated. They didn't show me a lot against Oklahoma, which is kind of interesting. But we'll see what they can do for the rest of the year. And I know we have Georgia at number 5. They do have a loss, but I'm going to leave Georgia at 5. I still think, and honestly, I can move Georgia ahead of Tennessee, to be honest with you. I think Georgia's better than Tennessee. I think they might be able to beat Ohio State. We'd love to see that matchup. So I'll put Georgia up there, but I'll leave them at 5 just for this ranking.
Okay. Something I forget every week, and I don't know why he hasn't smacked me yet. Vandy game coming up, you got to get.
Oh, yes.
You got to get it, Russ.
What's up, everybody? It's Big Mike back again with this week's edition of Bama Opponents Fun Fact. This week's opponent, the Vanderbilt University Commodores. A Commodore is a naval officer ranked in between captain and rear admiral, so it only makes sense that Vandy uses the anchor as part of its traditions. The Vanderbilt anchor was adopted in 2004 by head coach Bobby Johnson as a symbol of unity and strength and accompanies the team to all home and away games. Before each home game, a group or individual is selected to drop the anchor at midfield to mark the beginning of the evening's events. The school has also adopted the anchor down cheer, which is led by the student section after every first down. And that's this week's Bama Opponent Fun Fact. Roll Tide, everybody.
Roll
Tide. Appreciate that, Big Mike. I wonder how much that anchor weighs. I got to check that out. Just curious.
I agree with that, Kat.
Yeah, there's something about this team. Yeah, we are. And if you look at some of the stuff on social media about how we get together after the game, during the game, the way they're vibing together, this team just looks like it can do some great things going forward.
Yep. All right, Raj. This is a top 5, but we're only gonna have you name 4 because there's so many, and we want you to actually have to think about this.
Okay.
Because of the Ryan Williams catch.
Oh Lord.
Your top 4 Alabama receivers of all time. Favorites.
In order?
Sure, in
I'm just
particular order.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm trying to go back. Okay, so we became fans in '94. I would say
Well, how about this?
Julio.
Well, I already know what you're going to answer, though. If I give you, you can either name your top 4 favorite Alabama wide receivers or your favorite 3 wide receivers and the quarterback. But I already know your quarterback.
I'll do the top 4 receivers. Now, you know the quarterback's going to be Tua. Top 4 receivers, I'm going to go Julio, Smitty. I'm not going to say Ryan Williams yet. We're still early with him. He's probably going to be there if you ask me like next year or the following year anyway. So Julio, Smitty, Amari Cooper. Waddle was like all purpose. Does he count as a receiver? Can I count him in there? Okay, I'll go with Waddle. Waddle, his breakaway speed was just absolutely ridiculous.
All right. So Julio, Smitty, Cooper, Waddle.
Yes.
Okay.
I know I left off some guys, but I only had 4. So
no, I think he was with Judy. Yeah. Judy was a beast here. So I
yeah.
All right, so your last question, we're gonna do. I always have to show you a work, play, live, ditch.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
All right, you ready for it? Okay.
I don't know.
Julio, Smitty, Cooper, Waddle.
Okay. All right, so Julio Smith. Okay, so Julio's the oldest. The oldest.
Right.
So I'm gonna ditch him.
Oh. I figured that's the one you'd want to hang out with.
I think I might just, I'm going to ditch Julio. I'm going to let him get some rest at the crib. I'm going to work with Smitty. I feel like he could just teach me some things. He was really, really good. He had good footwork, too. My neighbor will be Cooper. I think it'll be good to chat over some old games back in the early Nick Saban era. Just talk about that type of stuff.
I know, Rick.
I'm
you should see how many times you should see how many times I've been ditched, Rick.
I want to hang out with Waddle so I can see him do the Waddle dance after we have too much water at the bar. hey, and then we get and then that goes viral. Then we blow up.
That's why I love you, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is that it?
All
right.
Good? You survived the questions.
I survived. Well, guys, we appreciate everybody for listening, joining us. We appreciate all the comments. Words cannot describe how much we appreciate everything. We will definitely look into some of the things that you all have commented on as far as other stuff, other content we can be putting out, live streams, etc. Please check us out on all the other stuff that we do put out throughout the week. Another big shout out to Big Mike. We appreciate you. Herb, any last words? We survived the week, man. We survived the weekend. We're good. Any last words?
Can I play a short one, but one of my favorite score predictions from the last week? If you missed our Thursday night show, you missed this one.
Hey, Herb and Raj. So my prediction is 27-20, Bama.
Bama by 50. Roll Tide.
We didn't win by 50, but hopefully we will one game this week. Shout out to Cat. We appreciate you.
And what's up, Roll Tide, for being in
Roll
there?
Tide. Shout out to Roll Tide. So with that being said, this is Raj from the Herb and Raj podcast. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe us, especially on YouTube. We appreciate everything. And everybody have a good night. And as always, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Herb and Raj 24, babe. Don't forget us.